We at 6:30? Yep, 6:30. All right, we will call the Special Services District meeting to order, 6:30, April 24th, 2024. Begin with roll call. Mr. Davidoff.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Councilor Blanks.
Present.
Mayor Cantor.
Here.
Councilor Cortez.
Here.
Councilor Fay.
Present.
Councilor McGinnis.
Present.
Councilor Poland.
Here.
Councilor Walters.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Winograd.
Here.
Councilor Zdanowicz.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff, and thank you, everybody, for being here.
Oh,
So,
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor.
oh, sorry.
I neglected to call the commissioners of the district. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, hello.
That's my fault. Commissioner Spivak is absent. Councilor Johnson. Commissioner Johnson. I mean. Alternate Bazanis. Here. And Commissioner Suffian, alternate. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff. Okay, so we go to number 3. Mr. Winograd, if you could. Oh, public forum first, we'll start. I don't think nobody signed up. Is there anybody here that would like to speak to anything on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, now we go to number 3. Thank you, Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to approve the minutes of the special meeting of March 12th, 2024.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing and hearing no discussion. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. B.
Thank you. Move to approve the public hearing of April 9th, 2024.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing and seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. I think we now go down to number 7, Mr. Winograd.
Thank you. I move to adopt the resolution of the annual budget for fiscal year 23-24 and the imposition of a tax levy on each land use category thereof. You're right. It's 20. It is 24-25. That's okay.
Yes, thank you.
So amended.
So amended.
Second, as amended.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded. This is, again, the resolution to adopt the annual budget for 2025. Mr. Ledwith, you want to just do a summary?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you recall, the commissioners will recall as well, the Special Services District budget was presented on March 12th. We held a public hearing on April 9th. And the budget you are voting on this evening has not changed from March 12th and calls for the following increases for the upcoming year. So revenues will be collected for $4,262,586, $1.7 million through our Special Services District levy, $2.5 million in parking revenue, and $50,000 in interest income. And expenditures will, for parking operations, are $620,336, and then license fees to the town of West Hartford, which essentially is that $3.6 million will be transferred to the Blueback Square Fund to fund our debt obligation. And then the Special Services District levy will call for a $3.35 per square foot of gross building area for commercial land uses and $1 per square foot of gross building area for residential land uses. And that summarizes the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Happy to answer any questions that the council or commissioners have.
Thank you, Mr. Ledwith. Are there any comments, questions on this budget? Just, yeah, you need to push the button for the, thank you so much.
Yes, has a date been set for the completion of the residential contributions to this Special Services District?
Through you, Madam Mayor, are you speaking in terms of the Special Services District? Yes. The total assessment? Year-wise, you mean? Or?
Well, we've been paying it since we moved in.
Correct, yeah, so
And it's going to expire
It does expire, and I had that date at the last meeting. I want to say it's October of 2026, Assistant Corporation Counsel Verano? Yeah?
October 2026.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
But let me, go ahead.
Want to verify? Okay. Madam Mayor, through you, so there is an ability by ordinance for that levy to be extended, and so I don't think there's been a determination of that at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we are aware that that is going to be a soon discussion. So, all right. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? All right. There are not, so, wait, I flipped my agendas here. So this is a roll call. So we will go to you, Mr. Davidoff, for roll call. Thank you.
Counselor Blanks,
Yes.
Mayor Cantor,
Yes.
Counselor Cortez,
Yes.
Counselor Fay,
Yes.
Counselor McGinnis,
Yes.
Counselor Poland,
Yes.
Counselor Walters,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Winograd,
Yes.
Counselor Zdanowitz.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
alternate Bazinese, Commissioner. Yes. Motion carries 11-0.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff. And we go now to 8A, Mr. Winograd.
Thank you. Make a motion to adopt a resolution eliminating 2 parking spaces to support accessibility enhancements to 65 Memorial Road.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Ledwith?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and appreciate the opportunity to present both of these upcoming resolutions, as this will be our last SSD meeting until the fall. We did discuss both of these resolutions at the latest Community Planning and Economic Development Committee meeting. The first resolution, which we're discussing right now, does call for the elimination of 2 parking spaces to support patient accessibility at 65 Memorial. We have been discussing this change for quite some time with Brand Street Properties. As we know, 65 Memorial supports several healthcare offices within the building, and presently this area lacks accommodations for visitors to safely access the building. Patients will typically get dropped off in front of the building, many of whom may be using walkers or wheelchairs, and they will need to navigate between parked cars to get safely into the front door. Brand Street would seek to improve the accessibility to the building by converting 2 parking spaces directly in front of the door to pickup area, and would also install a ramp at this site as well. This plan to convert these 2 parking spots to a drop-off and pickup area has been approved by our town planner, and this project would be completed later this year, and would be the construction costs would be assumed by Brand Street Properties. So happy to answer any questions that, through you, Madam Mayor, that the council or commissioners would have.
Thank you, Mr. Ledwith. Are there any questions or comments for the town manager on this item? I'll just say, I know this is very important. This is something that, has been talked about for a while. All right, so we can go to voice vote if there's no questions, comments. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. B, Mr. Winograd.
Move to adopt the resolution establishing 2 short-term parking spaces on Isham Road.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Ledwith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And this resolution will improve pedestrian safety within Blueback Square, primarily at the Isham and Raymond Road intersection and the Dinah and Raymond Road intersection. As folks may know, there's very limited parking along those 2 areas. And visitors looking for short-term parking in both of those areas will primarily double park, get out of the car, run into the facility, the businesses that are there, pick up their food, and jump back into their car. So through adoption of this resolution, we would convert the 2 spaces that are closest to Raymond Road, right on Isham, as you come around the corner, just north of Isham Garage. Those last 2 spaces that are directly across from Modern Tire would be converted to short-term 15-minute parking spaces for folks to access those businesses and provide a safer environment for just about everyone and traveling in that area. So through you, Madam Mayor, happy to answer any questions that that the council or commission had.
Thank you, Mr. Ledwith. Are there any questions or comments on this item? Okay, Mr. Stanowitz.
So
Don't
on
be
the,
sorry.
well, on the short-term parking piece, you know, we all sign in kind of on our apps and stuff. Will there be a provision to do that on the short-term piece? So it's 15 minutes so that when the person that comes around and checks license plates, maybe every half hour, maybe every 2 hours, we'll be able to identify that short-term parking not being abused? Is there any way to track that, and how will they do it?
So we don't presently track that, so it's monitored by our parking monitors that are walking the beat in both Blueback Square and the center. But I can, through you, Madam Mayor, speak with our Director of Parking Operations and see if there's an ability to add that function to our current app. It's not there right now, I do not believe. So it's done through monitoring
Right.
the short-term parking.
So, okay, thanks.
Now, it seems like maybe some short-term parking through a separate zone might be an option, but that was a good question.
It is, yes.
All right. Any other comments? All right. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Any staff reports? I don't think so.
Nothing this evening, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. All right. I don't think we have an executive session, right? All right. Without objection, I move that we adjourn. Is there any objection? We are adjourned. Have a good evening. Thank you so much. Now 7:30. We are calling the Wednesday, April 24th, 7:30 Town Council meeting to order, and we will begin with the roll call. Oh, no, we'll begin with Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry. No, no. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Mr. Davidoff.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Counselor Blanks.
Present.
Mayor Cantor.
Here.
Counselor Cortez.
Here.
Counselor Fay.
Here.
Counselor McGinnis.
Present.
Counselor Poland.
Here.
Counselor Walters.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Winograd.
Here.
Counselor Zdanowitz.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff. We begin with public forum. This is any resident or taxpayer of the town may address the council regarding any item on the agenda which is not otherwise subject to a public hearing. Items 7A through 7E are related to the budget and have already been the subject of public hearings on March 26th and April 3rd. So the only item would be F, and I don't think there's anybody signed up. Thank you so much. It doesn't look like there's anyone in the audience to speak, so we will go to number 4. Mr. Winograd.
Without objection, I move that items 5A, 5B, and 10A be placed on the consent calendar.
Is there any objection? Okay, seeing no objection, the items are placed on consent. Mr. Winograd?
I move adoption of the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will go then to new business. And I just want to describe how this will work. This is our budget adoption night. We will open for discussions, item A through E together. We will be voting on them roll call separately. But as we open and move each item, if there's further comments on that item, counselors can feel free to make comments. But I would suspect they're all connected, and I would suspect that the discussion on A, we're going to move A, and that will start the discussion on all of the items. So feel free to, again, cross over to talk about capital improvements or ARPA or, the tax levy, whatever. Okay? So, Mr. Winograd, we will move 7A.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move to adopt an ordinance concerning appropriations for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. I'm sure there's a lot to say, but I am going to start by giving the mic or the floor to Deputy Mayor Winograd, Chair of Finance and Administration.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So my role tonight as Chair of the Finance Committee is to give a broad overview of this budget and to explain the changes we are proposing from the manager's budget. As is our practice, the chairs of our committees will focus on the budgets of their departments, as well as, I'm sure, of providing their own views with the overall budget effort.
I just have a quick question. Do you want the town manager to review the budget items? I don't know if that's something that you want the town manager to do, or whether...
Sure, I think that's probably a good idea to...
Okay. Mr.
You can do
Lewitt,
that.
if you don't mind. Thank you, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do not mind. So, as the council knows, we presented the town manager's budget on March 9th. And since that meeting, we have held 2 public hearings and we held 6 budget workshops deliberating the proposed budget, which, as you know, called for an approximate 5% tax increase. Over the course of the last several weeks, and working with our council, we have identified additional revenue sources and expense reductions, which would result in an increase in our mill rate from 40.92 to 42.35, which is a 3.49% increase. And which is down certainly significantly from our previous 5% number. And in terms of revenue increases through conversations with our council, we would utilize $1.5 million in ARPA funds for a revenue source. We have identified a $56,000 telephone grant, which we would be added to the FY25 revenue. We have increased building permits by $50,000. And as the council remembers, just last Monday, we approved the 1,700 asylum development, and we felt comfortable making an adjustment to our building permit revenue of $50,000. In terms of miscellaneous revenue adjustments, we talked about the stiff interest rate that we budgeted for the upcoming year. We did feel that at some point that interest rate would be coming down. We feel comfortable that in staggering that decrease longer into the fiscal year, which would result in a increase in investment income of $100,000. And the council may recall that we had a land cap fill grant that we had budgeted for this fiscal year, which we did not receive, which we are being told now we would receive in fiscal year '25, and that's $375,000. So total revenue adjustments are almost $2.1 million, so $2,081,236. We also made some adjustments to our expenditures, and we've reduced our police taser operating expense by $96,568. We reduced our police upgrade to interview room by $36,125. We have decreased our health appropriation by $110,000, and that's due to the favorable renewal that we received through the Connecticut State Partnership Plan. And then we made another adjustment to our overall risk appropriation and made a reduction of $790,000. We would use year-end surpluses to refill that $900,000. So the health, the $790,000 risk fund adjustment, we would refill that dollar amount with year-end surplus. And then we would use year-end surplus as well to put into capital non-recurring expenditures to offset to be able to fund the police taser and the upgrade to the interview room. And then we would also make a Board of Ed adjustment of $500,000, a decrease of $500,000 to the Board of Education budget. As we know, the council doesn't have any appropriate or any kind of legal opportunity to adjust where the Board of Ed would make that reduction, but I've had conversations with our superintendent and his team, and we would work together ideally to use a retiree health reserve fund to offset that decrease in their budget. So, through our conversations, obviously this would be a Board of Education vote and adjustment that they would have to make, but through our conversations, we feel like we would be able to make that decrease utilizing that reserve, which they did use that reserve already in their current budget, so we would be asking them to do a little bit more with that number. But we feel comfortable being able to do that and not having any impact on the classroom as we move into the next fiscal year. So through you, Madam Mayor, I believe that summarizes all of the total changes from that are adjusted from my previous budget on March 9th. So total expenditure adjustments were $1.5 million. Total revenue adjustments were $3.6 million. And that brought our mill rate again from 40.92 up to 42.35, which is, again, a 3.49% increase.
Thank you, Mr. Ledwith. And now over to you, Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have anything left to say, no, but I'll say it anyway. But thank you, Rick. So I am going to skip a little bit. I don't want to be too repetitive with what Rick said. But I do want to say, so after, and like I said, I'll give a sort of broad overview. Individual committee members will talk about their own committees in particular, and certainly we'll hear from the other members of the Finance Committee. We are hopeful that that this can again be a bipartisan vote, if at all possible. And certainly from this side of the aisle, we've certainly approached our discussions over these past few months with that goal. And we've certainly ignored no good ideas. But first, at some length, I need to express my great appreciation for the work that has brought us to this evening. It is no accident at all that we continue to be a AAA-rated community. My thanks to Peter Privatera, our Chief Financial Officer, Lisa Newton, Financial Operations Manager, Patty Lewis, our Budget and Grants Manager, and the rest of that fantastic team who keep producing an award-winning budget each year. Congratulations on another Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. Through my job, I see budgets all over the state, and none are as transparent and unbelievably easy to read than this one. And since this will be Peter's last budget with us, I'm not happy about that, sir. Let me just add that it has been an absolute pleasure to work with you. I have nothing but admiration for your expertise, your equanimity in the face of serious challenges, and your good humor. You will be missed. I also want to thank Joe Dackers, our calm and innovative town assessor, and his able group of assessors, to Town Clerk Davidoff and Registrars Beth Kyle and Elizabeth Rousseau for rising to the challenges they face with early voting and the big election coming up. To Josephine Agnello Valley, our new Director of Human Resources, a job I personally happen to know is the hardest job in any organization. And also to our Superintendent of Schools, Paul Vicinas, for all of his hard work and, what is, after all, over half of our budget. So we obviously have to thank him tonight as well. Rick, well, thank you for everything you do to keep our town running. I'm sure budget time is not when you are the most popular among your department heads. But I know that you have their respect, and their proposed budgets reflect that your leadership and your vision for the town. And so when we get this book, we know that it's not something that just got passed through. I mean, your fingerprints are all over this, and we appreciate that. Mayor Cantor, every time we have to thank you for this budget, for your continued leadership. I have nothing but admiration and thanks for her expertise, strength, and resolve she shows every day. I'm awed by the commitment she shows to this town. Just tell people the incredible amount of time you think you see her doing stuff is only a fraction of the work she performs for this community. And really our success is a proof of her effectiveness. I also want to thank my colleagues on council for all their hard work on this budget and dedication to public service. Again, a lot of time is spent on this product that we're bringing tonight. To the Board of Education for their great commitment to our youth, and to the members of the public who took the time to bring us their concerns and ideas. So to the budget, one of the biggest impacts, of course, on any budget is inflation. There are various ways of measuring it, but the CPI for the past year is about 3.5%. This impacts our residents, of course, but it's also our employees, the cost of supplies and other expenses. Wages are going up, and we are basically a people's business. We expect a lot of our employees. We do as council. I know the management does here, and our residents do as well. We need to provide them with a competitive wage and benefit package. Our budget reflects that reality. The other major driver on the revenue side we faced this year was an unusually flat grand list. We did have a slight increase in real estate, but this was almost entirely offset by a drop in motor vehicle values of almost $27 million, over $900,000 in lost income. This was caused by a severe drop in value of used cars, particularly electric. The 40% drop in the value of the 262 Teslas in town alone becomes a major problem for our budget. It's really amazing. Meanwhile, while real estate investors continue to see West Hartford as a prime location where they want to spend their money, when they want to come to our community. Many new projects have not yet been completed. Many have been approved, but they're not, not all the ground has been broken. Some have. I'll note that we will see revenue this year from the formerly untaxed one park of around $100,000, the 2024 tax for this year, and we'll be moving up as we go along. Fortunately, we did not have to contend with some of the challenges we've had in the past. The MDC ad valorem tax is beyond our control, but this year was flat. We're certainly grateful for that, and I'd like to express my appreciation to their board of directors. What used to be our annual problem with the pension is largely a concern of the past. Thanks to our mayor's leadership regarding pension obligation bonds, and certainly Peter's very hard work on that, and the amendment we made this year, very crucial, those costs are under control and predictable. Finally, our decision to join the state partnership plan for health insurance continues to pay off. I want to give special thanks to the West Hartford Educational Association for bringing this to the table originally, to the Board of Ed for adopting it for their employees, and to our town side management for joining that parade. The 5% increase this year is far less than that faced by other towns who are still doing it on their own and haven't joined the partnership. So that's a win that continues to produce for us. So as said by the manager, we were originally looking at a 5.13% increase in the real and property tax mill rate, and we have a few changes. He did go through those. The most significant is our using the $1.5 million of ARPA money towards tax relief. Under normal circumstances, this would not be fiscally prudent. While certainly other towns have done this, it risks creating a hole in the budget for the following year. And we would not do this if we didn't have guaranteed grand list growth based on the construction projects that have already begun. Not just ones approved and we haven't seen it yet, but actually digging happening, buildings going up. If they had not been approved and actually started, we would not be in the position to lower the manager's budget, and we would be facing a larger tax increase this year. The other ones you mentioned in terms of moving some of the expenses from the police budget and reducing $550,000 actually from the approved budget of the Board of Education. None of this, as you stated, looks like we will be able to, we hope they'll be able to take that from the insurance reserve fund and that it won't have any impact on the classrooms. This reduction should not be taken as any loss of support that we have for our schools. This budget reflects our incredibly strong commitment to education in West Hartford. These are fantastic schools. We know that our role is to make sure they get the funding they need, and this budget certainly does that. There's no reason to think that their excellence won't continue. And as a Conard grad, I always like to see Conard be ahead of Hall in those rankings, but I'm proud of both schools this year. Hall did fantastic. They get the brownie points this year, but 6 and 10 is a reflection of all the work on both sides of from the whole town, from council and Board of Ed both, really funding and making sure we have the best education, and we do. So with all those changes, we end up, as you said, with a 3.49% increase. I will note, as per state law, there is no increase for motor vehicles. They stay at 32.46. So to the extent people do have used cars, there should be some savings on that end as the values of those go down. But it is, I believe, a budget that reaches a proper balance by preserving the great services our community demands with the very legitimate concerns about affordability. And I strongly recommend my colleagues on both sides that we adopt this budget as amended. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Winograd. I'm going to go to the people that were part of the Finance Administration Committee first. So Mark Sedanos, Mr. Sedanos.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm not going to go ahead and take up time thanking Ben. You did a fabulous job. Thanking everybody. Very well done. Because the amount of hard work, and by me not mentioning your name, please don't consider that a slight, because just in the essence of time, but the amount of work that goes into this budget is tremendous. I know it starts early in the year, And Peter, your last budget, that's, you got to hang this one on the mantle, just as as you're sipping your cocktail in your retirement, that, yeah, that's the last one. And then you could use it for fires and stuff like that to build a nice fire and in the fireplace. So, but you're our SME. We use that in the military, subject matter expert, and we go to you for all our questions and such. And you're well respected when people around you and you're sitting in the room and they have to look at you for the answer, because that you mostly always have it. And I want to thank you for all the time and stuff that you've gone through this budget and in the past too. Another big piece of our budget is a Board of Ed, obviously, and we have our superintendent, Paul Vicina, sitting here. Another huge job here in town. And, the rankings for the high schools just came out, which you mentioned, Hall and Conard. And oftentimes, and I've said this actually in a speech at Convocation, oftentimes Hall and Conard, they all get the accolades, superintendent, and things like that. But we can't forget that it starts at our elementary schools. It's building a foundation. It goes to our middle schools, and it goes to our special education. It's everyone that the high school happens to get the accolades, but it's a village that builds those students. And it takes that village to build the students through elementary and middle school. And the articles often forget about that. So I just want to make that a public thing. But we're lucky, and with Rick and Paul, two of the largest jobs here in West Hartford. And we, as a town, are very lucky to have these two professionals, to have them running our schools and our town. And I just hope that the residents, regardless of ideologies, that, the hard work that they do, the professionalism that they bring every single day to this job, I don't always agree with them. A lot of people, even around this table, might not agree with everything, but you know what? They do the best at this job that I can imagine. We are just so lucky to have these two gentlemen, and I combine them as both because really this budget is a school budget and a town budget, and they're responsible for it. And I just want to bring them to the center and thank them for their hard work and professionalism. As a finance committee member, we have gone through this budget by committee and we have broken it down. And I do want to just call out one particular, and it was called out during the committee meeting too. And I think he'll pat himself on the back. But the police chief did a 1.6% increase overall, and someone had mentioned that, and that is as our emergency services. We see increases year after year for roll forward, but he knew what he had to do. He takes his job seriously, and I really want to just kind of pat him on the back as coming out with that. As a fiscal conservative, any number is too big sometimes. It's and I understand it, and I want to say that I do appreciate everything that went into this budget. The 1.5, the ARPA funds, and Ben, you had mentioned that we have a large grand list coming and growth, and that's true. But then we're spending money in the future already, and so if we're counting on that grand list growth already, and it's not even here yet, where are the cuts going to come for next year if we have to? Where are the savings going to come? Where can we put some relief on our taxpayers? So, yes, I appreciate the ARPA funds, the telephone grant, the building permits, they all add up. And there's a lot of hard work behind that in the school with their cuts that they're going to make. But to roll forward that already anticipating a guaranteed grand list going forward, I just caution that, and I don't want to go down that proverbial road already. Let's take it one step at a time and really not have to spend that money already going forward. So I appreciate all the hard work, and I'll pass the baton off to my colleagues going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Zadanowitz. Ms. Pullen?
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. And I know that our colleagues around the table will speak about several portions of the budget, and it's my honor to go first and start by talking about the items from the Human and Community Services Committee. And I want to thank my fellow committee members, Councilwoman Fay and Councilman Walters, for your hard work on behalf of this committee. And of course, our fantastic staff, Helen Rubino-Turco, Liz Buzinski, Laura Ermsher, and all of the members of the Leisure and Social Services departments and the libraries. We talk about what a wonderful community we have in West Hartford. And one of the things that we have here in West Hartford that a lot of towns don't have are what we call third spaces. And there's a lot of talk nationally about how people don't have anywhere to gather anymore, to gather and to meet new people or just hang out with their friends and experience a sense of community. And what we have in this committee is a whole bunch of third spaces. We have parks all across town. In the summer, we operate outdoor pools. We have indoor pool that's open all year. We have golf courses, and we have our 3 libraries. We have the 2 senior centers. And these are all spaces where our community gathers. And these are part of what makes West Hartford really special, is that we have decided to commit to making these third spaces places where people want to be. And I want to really thank our staff and many, many community volunteers, by the way, who help to make these third spaces really special in West Hartford. So I just want to go through a few highlights of things that we have committed to this past year and things we're looking forward to. On the leisure and social services side, we've made a big commitment to sustainability. We were just awarded the pollinator-friendly community designation. We have a new wildflower restoration area in Wolcott Park, and on Friday we're going to be announcing the accreditation of Westmore Park as an arboretum. So a lot of work in that area around sustainability, and I think some of my colleagues will also mention some other sustainability projects. We also have continued to expand and improve our parks, and some of the items there, we have a new pool coming into Eisenhower at the end of the season this year. That's going to be great for next summer. We have new restrooms and a better parking lot coming to Wolcott Park. We're very excited about the new driving range coming to Rockledge. Some of us took a field trip last year to Stanley Park. We were really jealous about those driving ranges that they have there, and we're going to have an even better driving range at Rockledge, hopefully by the middle of the summer. And a personal favorite of mine is that we're going to get softball dugouts at Sterling and Norfelt Field for all of the girls who play in the West Hartford Softball League. I'm very excited about that personally. Moving on to some of the library, senior centers. We are reestablishing the senior center van, so that's going to be great. And of course, the big project that's coming up is the Elmwood Community Center. So we have a firm chosen, and we're going to be designing another third space. I don't know, we're at to like 75 spaces now, but to have a teen center and a library and a community center with recreation opportunities, and I'm probably missing some other items, all in one space, I think it's going to really benefit our community. On the library side of things, I am really appreciative of the fact that our library staff has really reached out to the community and designed some new programs that meet people's needs and also just bring some new ideas into our town and new people into the buildings. We are looking forward to adjusting library hours this year based on community needs and expanding access to our digital collections, which are even gaining in more popularity. So great job on behalf of the library. So those are just some of the items, and there's a lot more that we're doing, of course. Moving on to just talking in general about the budget, none of us likes to raise taxes. Particularly, we know here in Connecticut, on the town level, we really don't have that many choices on how to get extra revenue. And for us here, we're looking at raising property taxes. None of us really wants to do that. And particularly because we know that with the reval that happened a couple of years ago, the people who were disproportionately impacted are the people who own homes in the lower or moderate end of the scale. And so we'd really like to be able to keep things even if we can, but we can't. we can't do that and also maintain our commitment to keeping West Hartford the place that it is, the desirable place to live, whether you're a young family starting out or an individual or as somebody who wants to age in place, in order to make our town a place where people want to live, where people want to visit, where people want to work. We have to commit to maintaining our roads, our parks, our schools, our public safety, our community development, and not just maintaining, but thinking forward to making our town even better. And so what we're doing here with this budget is, and I think I heard my colleague, Deputy Mayor Winograd use this term as well, is we're trying to strike a balance. And this is what we have tonight, is we're trying to strike a balance that allows us to meet the commitments that we have and also try to reduce the impact on our homeowners. We really appreciate the public and the community that we have here in West Hartford. We know that our town is really, really engaged. And those of us on town council who've received about 80 emails in the last 2 or 3 days on a variety of different topics, we have a really, really engaged electorate. And I'm really grateful for that. And we do appreciate our community very much. And I know there's a lot of support for maintaining this community. So I would ask my colleagues to support this budget and look forward to working with all of you in the year ahead.
Thank you, Councilor Pullen. Ms. Fay, would you like to go?
Just about our committee or?
No, the budget. Yeah, sure.
Okay, yes, thank you very much. A lot's been said already, so I will try to be brief as much as I can. So thank you for that. All the thanks have been done, so I'll echo them. And Peter, I will miss you for sure. And I wish you the best in your upcoming retirement. And, good luck to your successor. So we'll miss you very, very much. I'm very, very happy that these adjustments have been made. Budgeting's never easy. It's always very, very tough. And while we are where we are right now, it is an improvement from the initial budget. And I think that's great. I'm very, very pleased about that. Mr. Winograd kind of hit my main concern, and that was with the ARPA money. The 1.5 million that we're rolling into the budget as a good guy, a revenue increase, it's not sustainable. It's a one-timer, if you will. I don't know that I would rely on that going forward. It's a plug, we used to call them in the business world, to make a balance, make a budget balance. I could never do that before, kind of plug into a budget, so I'm concerned about that. The other thing, I know these are hard. Everyone wants to know, what would you cut? It's hard on these books. There's lots of information, and it's wonderful, and we've all gone over it very, very granularly, but they're all roll forward. So when we approve a budget, that starts the baseline for the next year and the next year and the next year. So approving a budget has more ramifications than just the current cycle. It sets the tone for the next one. And we've seen that they've all gone up. So there's a couple concerns that I do have. And again, I'm very, very appreciative. This is hard. This is not easy. We do expect big things in West Hartford, and we do deliver on them. But I am concerned about that 1.5 ARPA fund as not being repeatable. And I am concerned about the level of our mill rate at, even though it's better than the original forecast, 42.35 is not a low number. And we're in the upper quartile for mill rates in the state of Connecticut. So that's concerning to me, because our peer group is nothing like what we are. So our peer group is my former hometown, East Hartford, which I love dearly, but it certainly doesn't offer what West Hartford does. New Britain is a peer group, Manchester, and I think we keep separating ourselves from our peers, and rightfully so. We are a unique town. I chose to live here. I love West Hartford, and that's why I continue to serve our town. I love this town deeply. Really, I can't imagine living anywhere else. But those are my concerns, and I know how much work went into this. even though I wasn't on the Finance Committee, I tried to participate as much as I could, and all the other subcommittees as well. I'm just concerned, and I think about some of the testimony we heard from our taxpayers, and how it's getting more difficult to stay, as somebody mentioned, stay at home and age. And that's a concern. So I'm still mulling it over because I like the improvements. I like the improvements in the numbers. I think we're heading in the right direction, but I wish we could have closed the gap a little more. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fay. Ms. McGinnis.
Good evening, everyone. Don't let the number of pieces of paper concern you. I'm at 14-point font stage of life, so my type is a little larger. I will be presenting just an overview of the Community Planning and Economic Development Committee, and then I'll have a few words on the overall budget. First, I'd like to thank my other committee members, Deputy Mayor Winograd and Councilman Cortez. I know that a lot of blood, sweat, and possibly even tears went into this budget. So I need to start by saying thank you to several of the people who helped put this budget together. First, I want to thank our town manager, Rick Ludwith, and Peter Privatera. I'm honestly not sure what we're going to do without you. And to be really honest, I'm a little worried that next year at this time, you're going to look outside and see Rick with a budget book outside your house. I also want to thank Dwayne Martin, Tim McClochie, Greg Summer, Todd Dumais, and Brian Pudlick. It's been a very busy year, and I don't see it letting up anytime soon, so thank you in advance for the work you'll be doing in the coming months. I want to thank our economic development team, Kristen Gorski and Lauren Segal. I know how hard you two work to attract and keep businesses here, and we really appreciate it. I also want to thank our corporation counsel, Dallas and Gina, for keeping us in line. I don't think we're too rowdy of a bunch, but you might disagree. Thank you to our town clerk, Leon Davidoff, for making sure we show up to hearings and meetings on time. I know sometimes we aren't the best at replying to emails, and I promise I'll do better this year. I also want to thank my colleagues on the council. It's nice to work with a group of people who are so committed to good governance. Now I'm just going to go through a few of CPED's accomplishments over the past year. The management division secured a safe streets and roads for all grant for over $800,000 for a speed management pilot program. This 18-month program will allow the town to deploy speed enforcement cameras at up to 15 locations, and these cameras should help to reduce crashes due to excessive speeds. The Building Inspection Division made changes that help streamline their performance with online permitting and plan review. The Planning Division managed the preparation of the town's affordable housing plan, and West Hartford has approximately 169 affordable units that were either completed or approved this year, including one property, the Camelot, where all of the units are affordable. The Engineering Division played an integral role in the Vision Zero action plan development, which was the first in the state and has the goal of eliminating deaths and serious injuries from traffic crashes. The Engineering Division also completed 2 sections of the Trout Brook Trail from Asylum to Fern Street. And we had a groundbreaking on the first phase of Fellowship Housing, which will provide 43 new units. We approved the development of the 1700 block of the former Yukon property, which will become Heritage Park and provide us with much needed tax revenue. Approximately 70 new businesses opened, and in addition to this, we have a few dozen businesses that are building out that have executed their lease in the last year but are not open at this time. They also supported 4 major events: the 3rd Annual Job Fair, Black Business Expo, Women Empowering Women, and Futures in Manufacturing Career Fair with West Hartford Public Schools. And they continue to support 3 ongoing ARPA-funded programs: small business and nonprofit grant, wayfinding signage, and affordable housing development. A couple of the 20 Fiscal 2025 goals are implement recommendations from the West Hartford Center Infrastructure Master Plan, implement recommendations from the Vision Zero Action Plan, and continue supporting existing businesses and attracting new businesses and developments to the town. See, it wasn't that long. I'm almost done. So there was a lot of work that went into this budget to get it to the place where we are tonight. And quite honestly, there were many asks that weren't put in this budget because our department heads understood the impact that any additional costs would have on our residents. I'm thankful for the work that was done to balance spending while making sure that we were able to maintain services that people in West Hartford have come to expect. Our budget reality every year is that we are almost completely reliant on property taxes to fund our budget. And until there is a change at the state level, that will be our continued reality. This is one of the reasons why the approval of the new development at 1700 Trout Brook was so important. It will bring in close to $2 million in property taxes when completed. I will be supporting this budget tonight, and I encourage my colleagues to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McGinnis. Mr. Cortez?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I love West Hartford, living in West Hartford. And yes, it costs, you know, to do business here, right? Things are, and that's where the budget comes in place. You know, it's exciting to see all the growth coming in town. And first of all, I want to thank all my fellow council members for the amount of time they put the past 6 weeks into listening to these presentations. I would love to thank the town staff for the amount of work that goes behind this. I mean, you go through those binders and I mean, if you want to know how the town operates, you sit through a budget and you will learn a lot on how the town operates. I appreciate some of the common themes, you know, during the presentations, which is, you know, you have wants and needs, and right now it's needs. We wants gonna have to, we put wants to the side. But still, we're looking at $16 million. We talk about percentage, right? And it's, you know, we look at it that way, but it's $16 million for needs, right? Not to invest in the community. So my question, I'm going to try to keep this short so I don't fall in that rabbit hole that I normally fall in, is, you know, what can we do better, right? So it's great that we had this dialogue and say, hey, what suggestions do you have? What cuts do you recommend? And, you know, that's sad that we're talking about what cuts do we recommend instead of investing in a community. So what can we do better, you know, and if we're worried about what can we do better for next year, we're already too late for next year. We should have been doing that last year. What can we do better for 2-3 years on the road? And I think that's what, you know, that's how we should approach this is, you know, how do we change business? It's too late for next year already, budget. You know, we're already going to look at an increase. And, you know, and I feel for those families that are just like trying to hang on in there. We had a reval that impacted a lot of our taxpayers a year or two ago. The market is hot in West Hartford. They're going to get impacted even harder in another, you know, in our next reval. So we got tax increases followed by tax increase. And oh, by the way, your property's worth a lot because people want to invest in this community. So we're going to have to increase it even more, you know. So so that's my thing is what can we do better for 2 years down the road? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cortez. Ms. Blanks?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A huge applause and much gratitude to you, Mayor Cantor, for leading this council, for all your hard work, your seasoned experience, and your leadership. And to Deputy Mayor Winograd, thank you for embracing your new role in leadership and providing clarity and guidance. And to Minority Leader Zdanowicz, sometimes I get tripped up. Thank you for your leadership and collaboration as you've embraced your new role. And to Town Manager Ledwith, thank you as you continue to bring strength, grace, consistency, and responsiveness to lead our town where we continue to be a desirable location for many. And to my fellow town councilors, thank you for being an awesome team to work with as we navigated the budget process for the fiscal year of 2025. And I also need to thank Pete as you sort of mosey on out the door, to you and your staff for all the hard work that you've done throughout the years in bringing this budget book and the CIP book to us in terms of reviewing and re-reviewing and providing all the needed explanation to understand many of the numbers. Thank you. I want to acknowledge all those who came out and participated during the public hearings and asked questions about our town departments and offered suggestions about our school district. I would also like to acknowledge Chief Riddick, Chief Priest, AC Terra, Riccabon, Grimaldi, Deputy Chief Munsell, Bob McHugh, the emergency management, and the men and women at the police department and the fire department that make sure we can feel safe when we reach out and dial 911. These services that we all receive are provided and expected timely and efficiently across town. Up to early Sunday morning, our fire department personnel responded to the Wampanoag Country Club. We are fortunate that this fire was controlled and put out without injuries or further loss of other nearby properties. March and April feel unusually long because of committee meetings, budget workshops, and public hearings. Each year, the council receives and reviews each department's request. We listen, we ask many questions because we represent the entire town. My public safety committee represents police, fire, and emergency management, all essential towns, all essential departments with the mission of protecting, serving, and responding to calls that ensures safety to everyone in town, everyone in the town of West Hartford. So we have residents, our business owners, employees, district staff and administrators, and students and visitors. Personnel, training, equipment, and supplies are critical for how these departments operate and perform each and every day, and it is a matter of life and death. Our police department have made over 1,000 motor vehicle stops this year. We've covered high-end stolen vehicles, illegal possession of firearms and narcotics, and much more. And these are some of the reasons why it is essential to have a detective unit of our size. 22, to investigate these crimes. Our fire department have responded to incidents where vehicles breached buildings, house fires like we had this evening, and car fires, and the latest fire, which was Sunday at Wampanoag. This department has a response time of less than 5 minutes with the mission of saving lives and property. Our Office of Emergency Management Services has a vision and forward thinking where the office recruited and trained over 100 residents to be part of a CERT program. As of January 1, 2024, CERT members have donated, these are volunteers, over 160 hours of volunteer time to assist with urgent and emergent events. When you stay prepared, as these departments do, you don't have to get prepared. These are resources that require funding, because to be ready to address emergencies, it requires preparation and skill. Our residents, business owners, school district, employees, and visitors expect immediate response and service when 911 is called. But during the budget process, the proposed budget from the police department and the fire department, as a minority leader Zdanowicz just stated, was 1.6% and 5.1% respectively, representing contractual obligations. I examined and reviewed these proposed requests, which appeared to be lean, and it demonstrated the commitment to collaborate with leadership to prevent further burden to town residents. Public safety is essential to our town, and with that being stated, these departments are willing to be fiscally prudent and save residents and business owners from unreasonable increases. After a long budget process, adjustments, discussions, and many meetings, I believe we've reached a reasonable budget that is sustainable for our town. I will support this budget and encourage my colleagues to do the same. But, and I say but, because being chair of public safety, going forward, we cannot continue to sacrifice our first responders. We must continue to collaborate. We must continue collaborative efforts with our state legislative and federal congressional delegations to provide adequate resources to keep our community safe. I yield back, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Blanks. Mr. Walters.
Thank you. I will first start with a few thank yous, and for the most part, I'll try to keep this a little bit high level so that we're not going too far into the weeds. But the first acknowledgement I would like to make is for Peter Patera, and acknowledge retirement, which has become kind of a swear word for me, not because I want to see people go necessarily, but because I'm jealous. But we'll get there. But I have heard nothing but praise for you and your work and your team, and thank you for all that you've done in the years that you've been with us. Second, I'd like to thank Town Manager Rick Ledwith and our Superintendent, Paul, thank you. It's not easy to acknowledge, or it's not easy to balance the needs of everyone when you have financial constraints that you kind of have to, they seem to be closing in rather than expanding. I'd like to thank Public Works, John Phillips, Bob Palmer, Catherine Deviney, the whole team with Public Works. And the Public Works, being the committee that I chair, I'd like to thank Minority Leader Zdanowicz and Councilor Blanks for their solid input and everybody's input with the Public Works Committee. I'm going to more or less just acknowledge the Morley Food Scrap pilot as being one of the most successful things that they took on. One of the most successful pilots in the nation based on the amount collected. They also understood the assignment when it came to budget making. A budget that reflected the lean finances the town faces this year while still meeting contractual commitments. They provided a budget that meets the needs of the town. It may not contain everything that we wanted or needed, but it will address the basics and then some. There have been difficulties. Some of them were mentioned just a little bit ago. First difficulty is taxes in general. I don't take raising taxes lightly, and my other half had something to say about it as well, and discussions with them. And some departments did not get what they want. They needed perhaps a little bit more staffing, and they are going to have to wait on that until we can, quite frankly, afford to do it. And then there's the difficulties that were touched on by Councilors McGinnis and Blanks with the state and the system that forces us to rely solely on property taxes, and a system that takes large portions of permit fees and state that ignores their own statute in funding special education here in Connecticut. those are all big challenges that make budgeting even harder. I'm going to switch gears just a little bit and go to a little bit, it's not off topic, we've talked about it several times this evening, and that's the importance of measured and intentional growth. And it's something that we are very lucky to have here in West Hartford. And we need to do it in, as I said, a measured and very intentional manner. And, you know, there have been some questions as to what do we need and why do we need it. And quite frankly, all the different sectors. We need new and expanding commercial. We need new and expanding light and industrial, I would say light industrial. And of course, new residential. Primarily for all three of those, redevelopment of underutilized properties that would increase the revenues and increase our grand list. You know, a lot of that is based on what the market dictates. And right now, the market dictates higher density developments. And so that's sort of where we've been going to. We are faced with no large tracts of real developable land here. So we have to take what we have. And again, that does kind of go towards higher density, which creates community, creates a smaller carbon footprint, it's less car reliant, and it creates a stronger sense of place. And to Councilor Pullen's point, many of these projects that we've seen already have created those third spaces, included squares and community areas. Now, as we look forward to the next fiscal year and Public Works, I went through the whole list, and I am not going to say every single one of them, because despite the fact that the budget is kind of hemmed in, we still are going to construct a new modern material service center. We're going to get a new animal control facility that will bring us out of the dark ages of animal control. Expanding the electric vehicle charging infrastructure here in town. We're setting aside funds towards flood mitigation infrastructure improvements. The schools are seeing new air handlers. The Morley pilot actually goes town-wide. Most likely, I'm hearing maybe June, which by itself will reduce solid waste and reduce cost, and we won't be shipping so much of our waste out of state. Let's see, again, I don't want to go through everything here, but there's just an incredible list of positive things that we have to look forward to. You know, on a sustainability, we are applying for gold level certification with Sustainable Connecticut, which demonstrates West Hartford's strong commitment to sustainability and a better future. So there's despite whatever constraints we may have with this budget, there is a lot happening, and they're good things, they're great things. In closing, this was my first budget, and I feel like there was a pretty big learning curve, and I appreciate the counsel of my colleagues on the council, and their input. I had a couple folks, Deputy Mayor Winograd, perhaps a mentor in helping me out and sorting things out in my mind. And just working collaboratively with everybody here on the council to collaboratively work towards an outcome that minimizes the tax increases to the extent possible without horrible cuts. I look forward to, I may be crazy, but I look forward to a collaborative budget making process next year with all of you and the town departments. I will be in supporting this budget, and I encourage everyone else on the council to do as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walters. So I'm going to do a little summary. I'm going to actually save my thank yous for a little bit, but I want to just dive in. this is such a hard, I want to echo everybody's understanding of how hard this is and appreciate the efforts that everybody at the table gave to this budget process. We're the 9th largest community in the state, but we're the only non-alliance district, which means we get less support from the state. We're richer by an average, but we have many community members that are wealthy and many community members that are in need. Not that different than the state of Connecticut. And so, but I do think people don't understand that at times. A few very wealthy people can skew numbers very much. So we are not by chance, as was mentioned, a AAA bond rated community. It is very intentional and really has been a commitment for a long time. We've been voted the best place to live, best place to raise a family, great place to retire, niche, 7 years in a row, best place to live in Connecticut. This doesn't come from short-term thinking or quick fixes or filling a hole. Being satisfied where we are, we never are. And I know that's true on the schools. I know that's true on the town side. At the State of the Town, I talked about achieving excellence. I actually showed a little Yukon kind of theme because there is a lot of excellence there. But how can we do things better? How can we be strategic, competitive, really diligent? You can't just hope for a positive impact. You have to intentionally step in. We have an incredibly engaged community that keeps us on our toes and requires us to do more. So there was a quote that said, the future is created by what you do today, not by what you do tomorrow. And so many of the things that you heard from the committee members about what we're doing today, whether it was, it's changing some structural drivers of, our pension obligation, that was our largest driver in our budget, has become relatively stable, which is really, really amazing. And we have a reserve that's actually supporting fluctuations, which is truly awesome. I mentioned in the State of that Town, one of the things that's facing it is the top #1 crisis in every area in the United States of America, and that's housing. We talked about the work that has been done, and this is not things that are coming quickly and just plopping down. This is really intense work and intentional work of creating and building on housing at all different levels in our community, with an emphasis in some areas, not, again, part of a whole picture, but on affordable housing. Our Vision Zero work, making our community safer. Our third spaces, I love that, Deb, and talking about what makes our community extra special and brings our community and connection together. Our police and fire and the work we did, the simulation training we did, that we saw the investments and how that plays out in training our officers. Our Heart Safe community and our CERT team, all those things that we respond by saving lives. These are things that are changes and improvements. Our solid waste management, materials center, as Barry shared, the animal control, EV charging, all of those things are investments we are making in this community. And our budget is 87% real property taxes. It's up to our community to make the changes or to make our community what we are. And it has a direct impact on quality of life and the biggest investment you might make in your life, which is your home. And as we see people's values of their homes go up, we know that's a two-sided story, right? It's great to have your home value go up, but it also increases the property tax burden, you might say. But one of the terms that I've used is insurance, and insurance in making sure that the value that you have in your home remains there and actually builds and grows. So Rick's budget letter stated, at the heart of our efforts lies the commitment to our residents' well-being and the prosperity of our town. This budget invests in today and our future, supporting our students and families, the safety of our community, the health and well-being of our residents and visitors, invests in our infrastructure, our sustainability, and I added, and resiliency, I think, or maybe you had that in there, and the quality of life of our residents. But that, to me, was a really, really good summary of what this budget does. And it, again, it's a very, very challenging thing. Median home single-family homes have increased 28.4% since last year. That's the single-family homes. Median prices on all homes, meaning multifamily, have increased 39.1%. You know, this is, again, it's wonderful, and new people coming in, and I know some young families that have moved into this neighborhood and paid a lot more than they expected to pay on a single-family home, but they had to get a single-family home. And so, again, we're balancing all of these things. We try, and I really struggled with putting ARPA money in this budget. But I also know that when we end a year with a surplus, a significant surplus, we want to offset future the tax impact on many families. So one of the things that the tools that we had available to us this year, because we know revenues are going to go up, because these projects are approved and some are almost done, that this will be a reality. It's not just a shot in the dark. This is not something that we would normally do, but we also haven't seen this amount of development in 20 years. So we are, we are in a position I think a conservative, fiscally responsible position to be able to count that and not create just surplus, but to benefit our community. But we have improved policies on fund balance. This is our highest fund balance in the town's history. And that is because to remain a AAA bond-rated community, we have to build on that fund balance. We're at 9.9%. We will be a little bit higher, but the general practice is 15%. Although we do have pension fund reserves and our retiree health reserves that make us financially and fiscally strong. The cap on motor vehicle rates doesn't give us some of that upward growth that we had in previous years. But as the deputy mayor said, our grand list growth was relatively flat this year, so it impacts directly. All of those costs directly go to our taxpayers. But we are focused on things that are focusing on things that are transformational today to make them a reality tomorrow. Economic development, business growth, job creation, investment, innovation, developing infrastructure, improving the safety of our roads, and improving the quality of our public safety officials, making sure that they have the tools that they need. So all of those things are really, really, really important. The fact that we are a sustainable, one of the nine communities in the state as climate leaders, that we are silver certified and going for gold. The fact that we are working on what might be is a crisis, but might be a state mandate on solid waste management. That pilot program diverted 1 ton every week of food waste. So those are really important. And we're investing in cybersecurity, which many communities are really struggling with, but we're trying to be a step ahead of that. We're building on solid economic health. We're growing our tax base with development intentionally and in a way that's responsible, practicing sound financial strategies. Again, we are a place where people want to invest and come to. So I had reviewed several challenges in my state of the town. Number 1 was the housing challenge. Number 2 was Vision Zero, making sure that we are doing what we need to do to become one of the best places to be in the state as far as road safety goes, and encouraging all users and having that be a place. We were the first town, again, was mentioned, to adopt by Ms. McGinnis, to adopt an action plan for Vision Zero. And then sustainability. We know that we have real challenges in our making sure that we have tree canopies and stormwater resiliency and vibrant arts and culture, inclusivity. All of those things are so important. But none of this would happen without a really incredible leadership. And I want to thank the two primary leaders in the room, actually multiple leaders in the room, but the town manager has been really amazing. And I do see such a more in-depth understanding of what goes into the town budget from the initial, which was a lot. You've known the workings of the town for so long, but truly to see the innards and have the department heads working through, so you're presenting something that meets the needs of the community is really important. Our superintendent of schools, Mr. Vasinis, thank you and congratulations on a really tremendous recognition and an understanding. Our schools don't look like any of those other schools in the top 10. So we know we're doing the best work. And so again, with all the investments that we made cumulatively to the schools, it shows, and the leadership. So I appreciate it very much. And Mr. Privatera, you've been doing this a long time along with me. I don't know what we're going to do without you. And I'm so grateful for your steady leadership. Thank you for the work on the pension obligation bonds. It has made our town, all our budget, a better budget, no question. And I think we're looked on nationally as an example. But, just tireless work, and thank you so much, Patty. Thank you for your tremendous work, your whole team. Lisa, who's not here tonight, and we're thinking about her, and I want to be so grateful, express my gratitude. All of our departments, as you heard from my colleagues, Chief Riddick, Chief Priest, John Phillips, Dwayne Martin, Jared Morin, Robert Palmer, Helen Rubino-Turco, Laura Imsher, Josephine Agnello, Joe Dakers, Todd Dumay, although not a director, really in charge of so much, our town clerk, Leon Davidoff, Corporation Counsel's Office, and our economic development team, who report directly to our town manager. This is, they are beyond professional because they are they care so much, and you can tell in all that they do how much pride they take in their work, how much they support their departments, but they understand the full picture, and they are really all incredible assets to the town. The largest single budget item are our schools. And so I want to thank the members of the Board of Education that work really hard to serve every student and to make their experience the best it can be and to be productive adults and add to society. It's the most important job in government that we can do. Superintendent of schools is almost 60% of the budget, and we understand that is one of the most significant economic drivers as well. It brings people into our town. It actually, people invest in our town because of it. And you heard today, but I'm going to say it again because I'm a Hall graduate. Hall ranked top at number 6 for the state, and Conard remained at number 10. Hall was 11 last year and jumped to 6, which is pretty impressive. And this was announced yesterday. But we also know, as we heard from Mr. Zdanowicz, who was on the Board of Education, this is dedicated, talented, committed teachers and staff at all levels of our schools. They work so hard to provide a safe, caring, engaging, stimulating students, but we also know we couldn't do without the committed families that work and support our school system so much. So the rankings were based on performance of underserved students, mathematics and reading proficiency on state assessments, college curriculum breadth and graduation rates, and number of students students taking AP exams, and number of students who passed at least one exam. And both Hall and Conard received an A+ rating. So I just want to give a round of applause on that. But I just want to, again, thank every person at this table. I want to give a little extra special shout out to, I handed the baton to our deputy mayor for finance and budget, and thank you for doing such a remarkable job on it. It's not, again, not an easy thing to pull everything together. The schedule, we call it March Madness, our March Madness, and it goes well into April. But it's a demanding schedule for everybody. Nobody is feeling happy with the budget. We don't, as Ms. Pullen said, we don't want to have a property tax increase, but we need our workers and our town staff. We need to attract town staff. We need to negotiate with them. We don't want to lose them, and so all of this is part of the process. So I want to leave with one quote: "A society grows great when old men plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit in." And I feel like a lot of what we're doing today is going to benefit our town in 10, 20 years, the investments we're making. We might not see all of those benefits, but I know our future community will. And so I want to thank all of you for your tremendous work, and I really want to thank the respect and the congeniality that everybody has showed at the table. I don't think this is happening in all communities, and I just want to again say I appreciate that intensely, and our community, I'm sure, appreciates it very, very much. So that is the discussion on A. So so this vote will be a roll call vote, and unless anybody wants to add anything, this will be a roll call vote on the adoption of this budget, and then we will go to, and I'll explain what the next items are so it's clear on what we're voting on. So we will go to roll call vote on ordinance concerning appropriations. Mr. Davidoff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Counselor Blanks.
Yes.
Mayor Cantor.
Yes.
Counselor Cortez.
No.
Counselor Fay.
No.
Counselor McGinnis.
Yes.
Counselor Poland.
Yes.
Counselor Walters.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Winograd.
Yes.
Counselor Zdanowitz.
No.
Motion carries 6-3.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff. The second, item B, Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to adopt the ordinance deauthorizing $427,000 for projects authorized in the capital improvement program for the fiscal year 2024-2025, appropriating funds for projects in the capital improvement program for the fiscal year 2024-2025, appropriating funds for the projects in the capital improvement program for the fiscal year 2025-2026, and authorizing the issuance of bonds of the town to finance the appropriations, and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any questions, discussions on this item? Okay, we can go to roll call. Mr. Davidoff.
Counselor Blanks.
Yes.
Mayor Cantor.
Yes.
Counselor Cortez.
Yes.
Counselor Fay.
Yes.
Counselor McGinnis.
Yes.
Counselor Poland.
Yes.
Counselor Walters.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Winograd.
Yes.
Counselor Zdanowitz.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff. C, Mr. Winograd.
Thank you. I move to adopt an ordinance concerning an appropriation to and in the capital improvement fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. So, and is there any discussion or questions on this item? Okay, we will go to roll call. Mr. Davidoff.
Counselor Blanks.
Yes.
Mayor Cantor.
Yes.
Counselor Cortez.
Yes.
Counselor Fay.
Yes.
Counselor McGinnis.
Yes.
Counselor Poland.
Yes.
Counselor Walters.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Winograd.
Yes.
Counselor Zdanowitz.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff. Letter D, Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to adopt a resolution concerning tax levy on the list of October 1, 2023.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions on this or discussion? Okay, roll call, Mr. Davidoff.
Counselor Blanks.
Yes.
Mayor Cantor.
Yes.
Counselor Cortez.
No.
Counselor Fay.
Yes.
Counselor McGinnis.
Yes.
Counselor Poland.
Yes.
Counselor Walters.
Yes.
Counselor, Deputy Mayor Winograd.
Yes.
Counselor Zdanowitz.
No.
Motion carries 7-2.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff. And then E, Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to adopt a resolution appropriating American Rescue Plan Act grant funds.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions on this? Okay, roll call, Mr. Davidoff.
Counselor Blanks.
Yes. Yes.
Mayor Cantor.
Yes.
Counselor Cortez.
No.
Counselor Fay.
No.
Counselor McGinnis. Counselor Poland.
Yes.
Counselor Walters.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Winograd.
Yes.
Counselor Zdanowitz.
No.
Motion carries 6-3.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff. And then letter F. This one, we did not discuss as part of that overall discussion. Mr. Ledwith, do you want to just maybe quickly? Yes. Okay, thank you. Well, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to adopt a resolution authorizing year-end budgetary transfers.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. I don't know if you want to do a quick summary of these.
Yeah, that's our Finance Director, Peter Privatera, one last time to come on up and summarize that for us.
Thank you. Pete Privatera, soon-to-be retired Finance Director. The resolution allows our department to make transfers at the end of the year so we can put all of the accounts in balance. Because we do have accounts that have extra money in them and some accounts have deficits. We balance to the bottom line. This allows us to make transfers to put everything in balance.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Perfecter? Mr. Zdanowitz?
I apologize if I don't remember it or saw it. Is there a balance at the end? I remember there always being some sort of, after you do all the moving, and do we know that number, and did I miss it?
The last time I reported to the town council, we projected a surplus for, are you talking about this year? A surplus of about $5.5 million. And my expectation is that's going to go up. And you'll be getting a report probably by mid next week on our latest projection. But we usually appropriate that money, as the town manager said. There's some accounts here that we need to put some of that money in, the insurance accounts, some of the expenditures for police that we cut. But we will move that money out, and whatever's left will balance out all the accounts in the budget.
All right, thank you.
Yes, Ms. Fay.
This is normal operating procedure. This is something that happens every cycle, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This resolution is presented along with all of the budgetary resolutions every year.
Thank you. Yes. And this is one way that we use surplus to offset future tax increases.
Correct.
Yes. All right. Any other comments, questions? Before you step away from the podium, we just want to give you a little thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been an honor working here. You know, it's a great town and great people, and I had a great staff, and you know, I remember going to department head meetings, and every department director is great. Everyone gets along. Rick is a fantastic town manager, and you know, you know, I'm sure that when I'm sitting, you know, under a palm tree somewhere, I'm not going to think about the budget. But you know, I appreciate the opportunity of working here, and appreciate the opportunity of working with all you people. You've all been great, and all I have is a lot of respect for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Again, thank you. Just one more time. All right, so, anything else? All right, roll call, Mr. David F.
Counselor Blanks.
Yes.
Mayor Cantor.
Yes.
Counselor Cortez.
Yes.
Counselor Fay.
Yes.
Counselor McGinnis.
Yes.
Counselor Poland.
Yes.
Counselor Walters.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Winograd.
Yes.
Counselor Zdanowitz.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff. We go to the town manager's report. We all have a question on one, and that is Peter's goodbye is May 10th, and there wasn't a time on it. I didn't know if you knew if there was a.
What? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I shouldn't say it. Oh, yeah, right. I blew it. Whatever. He has to be there.
Is it a surprise?
Nothing. You didn't hear a thing. Sorry. Whatever. Go ahead with your report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I did just want to begin my report by thanking all of you. We started our version of March Madness almost 8 weeks ago, and we worked very closely together and spent a lot of time together over the last 8 weeks to adopt tonight's budget. And I appreciate, and our staff appreciates your thoughtful questions, your recommendations to get to where we are this evening and lowering that initial tax increase down below 3.5%. So, and we stand ready to implement your vision as we move into the next fiscal year to continue to make West Hartford the premier community to live in the state of Connecticut, if not the Northeast in the country. So it's been an honor and a privilege, and we all look forward to working together as we move forward into the next fiscal year. So thank you. And I wish I could say after that last 8 weeks, we're giving you a week off, but we are not. We're going to hit the ground running again next week with several council meetings. So we have the Public Safety Committee meeting on Wednesday, May 1st at 8 a.m. That's a virtual meeting. We have Public Works, Facilities, and Sustainability Committee next Thursday, May 2nd at 6 p.m. That's a virtual meeting as well. And then we will have Finance and Administration on Monday, May 6th at 6 p.m., virtual meeting. Is it 6? I have 6 here, but it could be 6:30, you're right. I'll double check that and make sure we get that appropriately announced. And then on Tuesday, May 14th, we will have a public hearing on an ordinance concerning zoning regulations for cannabis establishments. And that's at 7 p.m. here in the council chambers, and then our council meeting will follow that public hearing at 7:30 p.m. here in the council chambers. National Drug Take Back Day is April 27th. On Saturday, April 27th, the West Hartford Bloomfield Health District, in conjunction with the police department, will hold its annual National Drug Take Back Day, rain or shine. National Take Back Day allows the public to dispose of expired, unwanted, or unused pharmaceutical controlled substances and/or other medication in an environmentally safe manner. These drugs can contaminate our waterways when flushed and are a potential risk to public health and safety when used illegally. Collection activities will occur at the Town Hall parking lot from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The program is anonymous and free of charge. Volunteers will be on hand to take items from your vehicle. This year's Take Back Day offers so much more, including Touch a Truck, hidden in plain sight simulator trailer, and a lot of great information from prevention and safety experts, including West Hartford's first responders, representatives from the West Hartford Community Emergency Response Team, Change the Script for Drug-Free Connecticut, and the West Hartford Substance Abuse Prevention Council. Time to talk trash, April 30th. Join us to discuss West Hartford's waste and how to cut our trash in half on Tuesday, April 30th at 6:30 p.m. at the Noah Webster Library Meeting Room. The Sustainable West Hartford Commission's Waste Working Group will give a presentation on fair trash reduction in our town, followed by a question and answer. And you can register online to attend that event. Expanded outdoor dining corrals will return on May 9th. The town of West Hartford announced that expanded on-street dining corrals will return to West Hartford Center and Blueback Square. Department of Public Works is slated to deploy the concrete barriers on May 9th before the Mother's Day holiday weekend. Barriers will be placed on LaSalle Road, Farmington Avenue, and Memorial Road. Work will begin at 7 a.m. Motorists can expect lane closures in the work zone, but the roadway will remain open. In preparation for the placement of the barriers, Public Works has been trimming trees located within the sidewalks to ensure the safety of diners and pedestrians. And then through its work, as we know, Stantec on the West Hartford Center Infrastructure Master Plan, we are in conversations, as we all know, to widen our sidewalks both on LaSalle and Farmington to accommodate more outdoor dining in 25 and 26. And then we've all had a chance to wish Mr. Privatero well with his upcoming retirement. And Peter will, as we all know, be retiring on at the end of May. I think May 31st might be your official retirement date, Pete. I was involved in the hiring of Pete back in 2013 when Ron Van Winkle hired Pete to replace Chris Johnson as our Director of Finance Services. And as we all know, before joining the town, Peter worked in Stamford, and before that, Hartford, retiring from both places. But I think his best work was saved for us here in West Hartford. Peter will be spending more time with his wife and his two sons and his new grandchild that joined us just a couple of months back. So, and Peter, when we hired Peter, it was, I'm going to stay here for 5 to 7 years, and we convinced him to stay a little bit longer. And then when I took the job a couple of years ago, Peter was thinking about retiring, and he agreed to stay on a little bit longer. And last year, he agreed to stay even another year. So I think I've worn out that welcome with him and his family. And he's done so many incredible things for all of us, our entire leadership team, our staff, for our town council. We've all relied on his wisdom and expertise. But the one thing he really did exceptionally well, in addition to all of those things, is building an incredible team in the finance department. And we are in excellent hands with Patty Lewis and Lisa Newton and Angela and Erica. And, and that was one of those things that Peter did exceptionally well, as I said. So we will be in great hands as we move into the future, but we certainly will miss Peter next year, but we will have an opportunity to roast him more formally as we move into the next few weeks as well. So that concludes my town manager's report. Through you, Madam Mayor, I'll turn it back to you, and if the council had any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Ledwith. Any questions for the town manager? Mr. Zdanowitz.
Not necessarily, I know, because it's not necessarily a question for the town manager. I spent a lot of time on the Board of Ed, so I'm going to talk out of school a little bit. And I think that, I hope you get this as levity, because I didn't know if there's an agenda I could talk about this. As a fiscal conservative and Republican, my job is to be fiscally conservative and take care of the budget. And when we were talking on the Finance Committee, Mayor asked me, Mark, what do you think? And I gave her what I thought. What I thought was going to pass. was going to pass. I said, well, and I don't know. Now you got me going here. And I'm not going to get you in trouble. But it was a collaborative effort that my number was a little lower than I should have presented, and it was accepted. And I thought it was a good collaboration, and it was one of those that I thought could pass the bar, if you will, that would actually go forward. Because if I gave another number, it would have been like, that's crazy, you can't do that. But anyway, because I've done that in the past, and I've touched the stove several times over the last budgets. But it was a good collaboration through the Finance Committee, and I just want to say thank you for all that. So I tried not to get you in trouble.
Thank you, Mr. Zdanowitz. Let me turn that mic off now. All right. Any other questions for our comments, Mr. Ledwith? Okay. Corporation Counsel, Mr. Dodge.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, on behalf of my office, I also want to congratulate Pete on his retirement. I had the pleasure of working with Pete both as a member of the town council and as corporation counsel. And I have to say, usually when the finance director walks into your office, his problems are the ones I like working on the least. But I always enjoyed working with Pete. And I know how much Cynthia and Gina think of you. And really, Pete, you always approached every issue that we ever dealt with such professionalism and grace. And so thank you very much for your service to the town. It's really been a pleasure. Madam Mayor, with that, I have no formal report this evening, and we do not require an executive session.
Thank you, Mr. Dodge. Are there any questions for Corporation Counsel? Okay. Then I will just, I know Mr. Dodge is cringing over there with my announcements, but again, thank you, Peter, and you will be missed, and being a grandparent is the best ever. Maybe not the first 3 months, but after that, it's the best. Yeah, exactly, yeah, well, yeah. Congratulations and much happiness. And again, I know we'll see you, but just to review one more time, it can't be said enough, Conradin Hall rank in the top 10 in Connecticut, top 3% in the nation. Their Hall's ranking was 362, Conrad 564 out of nearly 18,000 schools among 25,000 that were surveyed. So just remarkable. School Nurse Appreciation Day, May 8th, announces that both the non-public school nurse Beth Bornstein was selected as Nurse of the Year by the Association of School Nurses of Connecticut, ASNC. The award is presented to a nurse who works above their expected professional role in collaboration with nursing colleagues, school administration, faculty, students to maximize their educational experience by being a leader in school health. Beth works at Northwest Catholic High School and will be recognized at the spring dinner meeting celebrating school nurses on Wednesday, May 8th, and National Nurse Appreciation Day. We will present her with a proclamation at our May 14th meeting. Congratulations. West Hartford Methodist Church, I'll actually let you do that, Mr. Cortez, in a minute. Why Art Matters, April 25th. 10 Ways Art Benefits Your Community will be at 6 p.m. at the Bishop's Corner Senior Center. Event is free. Refreshments will be served. Contact the Bishop's Corner Senior Center if you need more information or to enroll. Sedgwick Middle School presents Mary Poppins Jr. April 26th through 28th. 7 p.m. on the 26th and 7th, and 1 p.m. on the 28th. Tickets are $14 for adults and $12 for seniors and students. Beachland Park Spring Cleanup will take place on April 27th from 9 a.m. to noon. Volunteers are needed. Registration through Eventbrite is encouraged, and there is a link to sign up. And this Beachland is located at 847 Quaker Lane South. PowerSmart residential solar and battery storage program a virtual program will be held on May 1st from 6 to 7 to talk about financial incentives available from the Connecticut Green Bank and Eversource, 30% income tax credit from the federal government, and also registration is on this on our website. West Hartford Farmers Market opens, that's real sign of spring, May 4th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. every Saturday through December 21st, except Saturday, November 30th, and it's the Town Hall lot. And Blueback Farmers Market in Town Hall, that's on LaSalle Road, I'm sorry. The Blueback Farmers Market in Town Hall lot opens Sunday, June 16th from 10 to 1. And is held through October 27th. Veterans Resource Fair will take place on May 11th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the Town Hall Auditorium. It's for veterans and their families. A diverse group of representatives from various agency and town offices provide valuable resources and information. U.S. Department of Affairs, Connecticut Department of Veterans Affairs, West Hartford Town Assessor, American Legion, and a few other organizations. Webster War of the Words will take place on May 11th. And this is the word-based game show featuring celebrity contestants. And tickets it's at 6 p.m. at the Noah Webster House. Tickets are $50. There's also a link. And Encore is the Playhouse on Park's big fundraiser. It's kind of a retro theme. Think Mad Men, they say. So get your Manhattans ready, I guess. The evening features fine dancing, live auctions, And there is also a link to purchase their tickets as well. And do you want to expand on the drive?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. West Hartford United Methodist Church is having a diaper drive and toiletries drive. The West Hartford United Methodist Church is holding a diaper and toiletries drive in April and May to benefit the West Hartford Food Pantry. Diapers and pull-ups, especially sizes 4, 5, and 6 are needed, along with wipes. Additionally, toiletries such as toothpaste, toothbrushes, deodorant, soap, shampoo, razors, shaving cream, feminine hygiene products, hand sanitizer, single-roll toilet paper, and tissues are also needed.
Thank you, Mr. Cortez. Any other announcements? Mr. Walters.
I was just going to mention it's not too early to talk about June and all of the festivals that will be taking place in June, from Celebrate to Juneteenth to Pride, and there's a few more Caribbean island, and then there's another one that I'm forgetting. But June,
June, keep your eyes open.
from start to finish, is festival month in West Hartford.
Absolutely. Thank you. Mr. Winograd?
Thank you. Just want to also add, this Sunday is Nepal Day. For those who haven't been, it is really a fun event. Celebrating Nepal history, culture, food, dance, and challenges from our very vibrant Nepalese community. It's really something to see. And last year there was a march kind of through Blueback, and it goes from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here at Town Hall. I believe in the front. So be great if people can come out, and certainly the Nepalese community probably doesn't need a reminder, but hope we see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winograd. It is a great event. So if you can bring, go and enjoy it with family or friends, it's really awesome. And congratulations, and we're celebrating with you. All right. Any? Yes. Oh, is that okay? Then we will go without objection. I make a motion to adjourn. Is there any objection? We are now adjourned. Thank you so much.
So what are you going to be spending all your time doing?